Text sexual harassment. Know where the line is.
I was at lunch with a workmate who seemed a bit distracted and edgy the last few weeks. I asked her what was going on, and she eventually told me that our boss had been sexually harassing her. She said it was getting so bad that she didn't want to work here anymore. I just listened and made sure she knew that it wasn't her fault and that what he was doing was not just inappropriate. It was actually sexual harassment.
Text 1 in 4 women have experienced sexual harassment at work in the last 5 years. But many people aren't sure where the line is when it comes to harassment. What does sexual harassment in the workplace actually look like? In a workplace kitchen, a man makes tea and addresses the camera.
Jokes are a real big one, I reckon. And the really crude stuff comes out at after work drinks, when people let their guard down a little bit.
When people say something sexual and offensive about a colleague, but it's said in a joking way, so they can kind of just brush it off if people respond badly.
Questions or comments that are too personal, like whether you got any on the weekend.
Making sleazy comments about what people in the office may look like.
Guys not being able to take their eyes off your boobs when you're talking to them.
Text men also experience sexual harassment at work. A man addresses the camera.
It can be the more direct things too, like groping or touching in a way that's far too personal.
It's when someone follows you around and corners you somewhere where you can't easily get away from them.
Sexting can be sexual harassment, especially if you're using work phones.
Quote, I was too scared to say anything, but I have been so upset and ashamed ever since. I was so shocked and distressed, I didn't know what to say. It got so bad that before my shift started, I'd be in the back room, shaking. I was so shocked I just stood there not able to say anything. Only 1 in 5 people who experience sexual harassment made a formal report or complaint, but there is something you can do about it.
I run a small team, and it turns out that one of my male staff had been sexually harassed by one of his co-workers. When I eventually found out about it, I spoke to him and asked him what he would like me to do about it. He didn't want to lodge a formal complaint, but of course he did want the harassment to stop. We agreed that I'd speak to the other worker and remind them about our workplace policies on sexual harassment. I also decided I'd get someone in to talk to the whole team about bystander training, just so that everyone knew how and what to do if they saw such a thing happen again.
This guy I used to work with, he was obsessed with a colleague of ours, and I could see how uncomfortable this was making her feel. So I asked her if she was okay. She seemed relieved, and she didn't want to report him because she was scared about what other people would think if they found out. The next day, she wrote me an email to thank me for bringing it up with her, and about a month later, she filed a formal report.
At after work drinks, some of the guys were talking about the girls from work, rating them on a scale of 1 to 10. None of the girls were around, but I thought it was a bit off. I thought to myself, that could be my girlfriend or my sister. Eventually I chimed in and said, come on guys, that's enough. They were pretty embarrassed, so we moved on and changed the topic.
Text C. Know where the line is. If you see something or hear something that makes you uncomfortable, don't ignore it. Talk. It takes courage to speak up. Talk with your boss, your colleagues, or with the person who is crossing the line. Support. Don't underestimate the power of support. It can help a colleague stand up and take action. Sexual harassment. Know where the line is. If you believe you have experienced sexual harassment, you can contact the Australian Human Rights Commission's National Information Service on 1300 656 419 or www.humanrights.gov.au/complaints. Copyright 2014 Australian Human Rights Commission.